Welcome to this week's episode of Courageous Leaders Changing the World. Super excited for this week's guest, Meg O'Neill. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So the name of the podcast is Courageous Leaders Changing the World. What's a time in your life where you've had to summon more courage than any other time?
Oh, I love that question. Specifically in leadership and specifically in business?
Anything.
Okay. I feel like there's two little branches I want to go. One, because it's very just like in the season I'm in right now is, I had my first child 9 months ago, and I feel like the courage to birth and to birth in the way that I chose to birth as well, like outside the system and, unassisted. That took a lot of courage to like root down into myself and choose that way and really not be available for any noise and not be available for any other opinions to infect my space. The courage to really choose that and the courage to really walk that path and not be available for something else was really fucking powerful. And what was really interesting about that too is I thought, because I went through what some people would call like a wild pregnancy, so I didn't have scans or I didn't have any of that. And I actually thought I thought I would meet a lot of challenge in my own body throughout that time. And I thought, I would wobble a lot, but there was actually such an ease to the journey, which really surprised me. And it still felt courageous, but the surprise of like it being quite easeful was really freaking beautiful to be with as well.
Yeah, I love that. What was the other one that came to mind?
Oh, I feel like in business specifically, what came to me is like times in my business, or specifically like 2 years ago, I went through, more of a plateau in my business. And it was after years of like back in, I think it was 2021, I went from having like a 40K year to like a $250,000 year. And that just like blew my mind. And then my business was in just like, boom, like 10K month, 20K month, 30K month, 40K month. And I was just under the belief that was going to be the trajectory of my business forevermore. Just like boom, boom, boom. I'm never going to plateau. My income's never going to dip. And I got very caught up in like my sense of self being wrapped in like the income and like how much my business was making. And then obviously, because this is the nature of life and business, I had an income dip and I took it so personally and it really wobbled me and it really freaking wobbled me. And it just had so much, like it really took me out of my seat of power. And it really shifted the way I showed up. And I think that the courageous moment was really choosing to like come back into my power and like unravel myself and my leadership from being determined by the amount of money I was making and just like courageously showing up in my power no matter what, like no matter how many people were liking my posts, no matter how many people were engaged in my work, no matter how much money was coming in, just like really choosing to be in my power and like be in the full force of myself no matter what, which actually ended up being the biggest freaking blessing of my business ever, because now I feel so much more liberated as a leader and as a businesswoman, not being at the mercy of like, oh my gosh, my income's a little down this month than what it was last month. And just being out of that game just feels so much more liberating.
What would you say to someone who's journeying that like right now? Because it's going to be a common experience for so many people who've, gone on the upward trajectory and then life happens. Like as an example, it happens all the time. We had our main event that we normally like sell at booked for when like 2 weeks before the baby is going to come. And then Jackie's water breaks 2 days before the event. So all of the money that's coming in no longer comes in. And then we've got to refund all of these things. We've already paid for venues, paid for all of these different things. And, life serves you a different timeline to what you're looking for. What do you say to someone who's experiencing that income dip like right now?
I think a huge piece for me was letting go of the belief that my job was like to manifest the perfect outcomes in my business at all times. And like everything has to be perfect. And I'm just going to manifest it and everything, manifest more money and manifest and it's all going to work out perfectly. And now I'm like, I don't believe that. I feel like my job is to just meet so deeply and hold myself through whatever my business offers up. And I've let go of the belief that it's my job to try and create the perfect outcome at all times. Because when shit would hit the fan, which it often does in life and business, I would take it so personally, like I said before, and it would wobble me so deeply, when now I've really realized, and I feel like you would know this being in business for the time you've been in, that like things happen. Sometimes clients aren't happy. Sometimes you need to give refunds. Sometimes life happens and, you know, it's not your preferred circumstances, but who do you be in that moment? How do you meet that? And I love to see business as an initiation and a spiritual practice. So in those moments, you know, when the income is dipping, it's like, who am I being invited to be in this moment? Not, how can I quickly fix it? How do I get out of this? Right? It's like, who am I being invited to be? How can I see this as in service to me? And I also want to preface that I'll speak into that can be really challenging when you also need to be making money to like provide for your family or to pay your team and all of those things. And I've had many moments in my own business over the last 4 or 5 years when I have a team and there's moments of being like, oh, fuck, like I can't pay them this month, or I need to, you know, I need to make shit happen and people are relying on me. So that, you know, there's so much to that as well. But I feel like in my own practice, when I stop resisting, when I stop like trying to fix the thing or resist the challenge that's happening, then I'm able to come back into my power and from that place, like find a creative solution instead of spending so much time resisting the thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Can you speak more into that?
I think an example of that is like two and a bit years ago, a huge part of my work was doing a lot of like serving a lot of women in business, which I'm coming back into now. But at the time I was running a lot of business masterminds, and one of my masterminds like fully sold out, 10 women in it. It was like over 100K launch, epic. The next time I ran it, like 2 women signed up. So I was expecting to have like another 100K launch and I had like a 20K launch. And so obviously, oh my gosh, so much came up for me just like financially and just as a leader, all of these things. And I really spent a lot of months really making that mean so much. I spent a lot of months just spiraling on like, what does that mean about me? Am I a shitty leader? Does no one want to like, I just spiraled in what does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? And was not trying to come back into my power, was not trying to, you know, root back into my power and move from that place. So it really rippled out into my business. I felt stuck. It like, you know, I was creating not from power, I was creating from that story of like, what does this mean about me? I'm a bad leader. No one wants to be in my work. My business is failing, all of these things. And I come from like being such a high achiever and like such a perfectionist. So my little girl, my like little Meggie, I call her, like anytime failure happens, she thinks it's the end of the world. So that was really big for me. And yeah, then there was a point, you know, a few months later where I realized, oh, like what if this was for me? Like what if 2 people signed up because this was in service to me in some way? And when I started to contemplate that, my business actually took a huge pivot, and I realized I don't actually want to be holding business masterminds anymore. I want to be deepening into my relationship work. This is when Jacob and I started our podcast, Sex, Love, and Everything in Between. And then that took off and I started to really deepen into my experience called Full Spectrum Woman. And it was like I could see that happened because my work was asking me to go deeper, and I wasn't here to serve in that way anymore, which when I actually then listened, it was so beautiful. So yeah, when I let it initiate me, it took me into really beautiful places.
How do you journey that when you recognize that, you know, the people that you're serving are no longer in, you know, greater service to what you're doing? Because that's definitely something that I journey unendingly. I have a huge season of like transformation, and then it swings back to business. And it's like I'm in that transition phase right now where it's been all about transformation for the last few years, and then it's swinging back to business. And it's like still do transformation work. We still have all of our transformational events. But what I'm speaking to and what's most alive for me in my content is like business again? How do you journey that dance of going where the aliveness is?
Yeah, in terms of like the people that like you're serving as well.
Yeah.
Do you know Simone Soul? Have you heard of her?
No.
She's she teaches on marketing and really like marketing and integrity, and she's just got like really strong opinions on marketing. And I did one of her courses years ago, and it's always stuck with me. She speaks about imagining anytime you create content, write an email, anything, you're sending that out to your raving fans. Like you're sending it out and everyone that receives it is just a fucking raving fan of yours. And I love that, because I think when you are in that transition of, I've been speaking about this, and even I'm in that right now, and I've been in years of like just speaking about relationships and feminine embodiment and expression, and I'm coming back into, I'm here to serve women in business with all of that, but like to deepen them on the path of business as well. And I haven't spoken about business in years. So there's like an awkwardness to it. And there's like how do I speak about this again? And are they receiving that? Are they like, is this weird that I'm speaking about this again? And I can feel that in my body as I'm creating content, and just like the awkwardness of that. And I've been coming back to her sharing that. It's like, if I imagined they were my raving fans and didn't actually give a fuck about what I was saying, they were just ready to hear whatever I had to say, and they want to hear my perspective on anything and like whatever's alive in me, like that actually shifts my body and then how I bring through my content, because I'm like, they want to hear from me. Okay, I feel free, instead of like, will this land? Are they ready for this? Yeah.
How do you journey the people leaving your ecosystem then?
I think that can be challenging sometimes, but I think also just trusting the seasons that people have in your business. And then I also like to think about me as a consumer of people's work. Like I've had years where like one particular woman, I was like deep in her world. I signed up for like 3 of her different masterminds. So I was in her world for like 2 years. And then I haven't paid her for like years and years. And I don't actually feel like deepening with her right now. Maybe I will in the future, but I don't feel a call to deepen into her world. So yeah, I think I trust that like, I as a consumer go through different seasons with different creators or different coaches. And I trust that my people will too. I actually think this has been a huge liberator for me as a coach and a facilitator. Because as I said before, I'm like a high achiever, and I would love to hear how you felt about this in your coaching and facilitating. But like when I first started coaching and facilitating, maybe even up to a few years ago, I would like want to make sure everyone was having a good time. So it was like in a room or like even on a Zoom call, like, is she having a good time? Does she look like is she writing in the chat box? Is she dropping emojis? Does she look like, she maybe doesn't look, am I saying the right thing? Like I would almost be like really hyper vigilant around, is this landing? Do I have to explain it different for her? Or like, just are they liking me? Are they having a good time? And would they give me a gold star right now? And a huge piece for me that supported me to just like actually be a leader that trusts my vessel and trusts what wants to move through me is like trusting the people in my space, and like trusting that they're going to take what they need to take. It's going to land in the way they need it to land. Trust whatever experience they have and not let that dictate how I bring it. And I also think like, if they need to leave my ecosystem for a while or forever, it's like trusting that. How do you go with that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been, journeying this a little bit recently, where it's like, so when I think our last guest was like Natalie Patterson, and I basically, she keeps messaging me going, can we keep coaching? And I'm like, no, we're done. You can't pay me any more money. Because I recognize the importance of that season to be able to have people, go out on their own and stand on their own 2 feet. And almost, I remember one of my longest serving clients that I've ever had, watching her going through this season of, when you work with a coach, you become very aligned with them. But then when you go beyond that, then you almost have to reject part of the teachings that you've gotten from them to actually evolve and become your own person. And I've been watching that journey with one of my like older clients, longer serving clients, and just watching that rejection of like certain things that I've said and done. And it's interesting to be able to recognize that, part of me is like, yeah, that's critical for her journey. At the same time, I'm also just like, feeling it, just like, so that's been interesting to see play out. That's kind of why I asked the question, because I see it playing out, and I've seen it play out in terms of many people, especially when they go on a journey for many, many, many years with a coach or a modality. Seen this recently with someone in DeMartini's work, another one with some of the access consciousness work, where you know, they become so engrossed in a certain way that when they step out of it, they almost swing the pendulum the other way, where it's like almost demonizing where they've come from, and seeing that dynamic play out. And it's been interesting to be able to see that, because I've recognized in me that there's definitely pieces where it's like, I've recognized that I will stop showing up to a certain level to avoid that playing out and actually going through that journey, because I like the comfort of having people who love me.
I love that so much, because that's been such a confronting realization for me as a leader. And my husband, Jacob, does this so well. Like, he doesn't really give a fuck if people like him or not. And that makes him an incredible leader. He's a very compassionate, empathetic, incredible man. But he shares that, like, growing up in school, like, I was quite popular. I was a high achiever. Like, I never was aware of people not liking me. My husband was bullied. So he's like, I know what it's like for people to hate me. And like, he's almost like been initiated through that. And so what's been quite confronting on my leadership journey is realizing like the parts of me that shape shift and contort so that people like me or don't want to not be liked as a leader, and how that might hold me back from, even in a coaching session, saying the thing I know they fucking need to hear, but I'm like, are they going to not like me if I say that thing? And yeah, how much as a leader that's like, you know, the depth of our leadership, if we want to deepen into our leadership, we have to actually be with that part of us and not let that part of us drive. I also fucking love that you were like to Natalie, you can't pay me any more money. I think that's so trustworthy as a coach, and so just in integrity. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, I don't like the industry and how it has certain things play out. Like there's part of people's ascension model is, number one, you go through all of their stuff and then you become part of the team. I don't think that's a good ascension model for people, because then they're just indoctrinated into that system more and more and more. And the other piece is like, I think that it's important for people to be able to start to stand on their own 2 feet more and more over a period of time, so they can actually bring their thing, because unendingly I see diluted teachings of one teacher unendingly. Like I had a client message me in Telegram yesterday. She's like, I got this from this and this and this. And from what I saw, I knew that it was my work, because it was like specific models set up in a specific way. And they're like, I got this from this person. I'm like, well, I haven't worked with that person, and I know who, like all of the dilutions had to go through that person, and then this person and this person and this person. And then it gets back to me in this very distorted form. And I'm just like, oh dear, there is so many mistakes in that, in terms of how far away it's gone from the truth. And it's interesting to kind of journey that and just recognize, you know, yes, that is perfect for each of the iterations of those different things. And at the same time, you know, how important it is for people to be able to, you know, both own like what your power is in terms of when you create those things, rather than just diluting different things, and create your own body of work, rather than just, you know, you see it a lot when people go through NLP. It's like they're all NLP. It's like all of these different things, and they haven't touched the nervous system. They haven't touched somatics. They haven't touched any of those things. And it just becomes part of the noise, rather than them actually going to all of these different places to grow and evolve. And that's part of also why I typically have an end point for coaching with people. And that's not a forever thing. It's like, all right, this season that we're in, that we've journeyed, that's done. That might pick up again in the future. But for now, you know, I think it's going to be best for both of us to shift beyond layers of codependence that have started to play out. And, you know, most people are oblivious to the fact that they can easily become codependent with their coach.
Yeah. And I even know is like in my own being, like having seasons where I don't necessarily have a coach feels really freeing. And then I get to, and kind of what you were saying before, I've noticed even in the woman's mastermind that I was talking about before, I noticed, and I don't think you can become super immune to this unless you're like super duper conscious, that if you're immersed in someone's world, like you were saying before, there's going to be like flavors that you start to bring in. And it only took me stepping out of this woman's world to go, I'm kind of using her voice in certain things. And like, I need to refine and master my own voice even more. And I had to step out of her world to really do that and see that and to become more conscious of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely plays out. And, it takes, one of my favorite kind of laws is like, the person with the most awareness is the person that, has to be most responsible. And it's like always assume that you're the person with the most awareness. So it's having those uncomfortable conversations to be able to go, okay, cool. I know that you still want to pay me money and, I think our time for now is done. Let's transition this to a different form of relationship. Let's be peers rather than, coach and client. And, it's that unending painful journey of saying no to money, which is very, very important to business. I talk about this, especially once people get to like 6 figures. It's like, the way that you grow once you've already hit 6 figures is learning how to say no to money, because often fast money is unaligned money.
Oof.
So the more that you can learn to be able to say no to the easy money and, the faster the aligned money starts to show up and it just feels so much better. So.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. And I feel like you would feel this way. And the way that I've felt in my experience, it's like I'm no longer available for money that doesn't hit my body in a certain way, and money that I've got to be someone or do something that doesn't feel true, right? And I think, there does get to a certain point, and you can have this from the beginning of your business, but I think I've looked back on certain parts of my business and I'm like, that didn't actually feel true, or I was trying to be someone else then. And I think there's a maturity in business where you get to, yes, money feels good, but what feels even fucking better is money where I am deeply myself and I'm deeply true to who I'm here to be. Yeah. Nothing hits like that.
Yeah. How do we access more of that then?
I think it's that, like what you said, like having the courage to say no to money or to experiences or to clients that when the body is saying this isn't it. Like I think it's knowing what you're available for. It's kind of like in dating, right? I love the similarities between like love and leadership and, business and dating, where, it actually takes, like if a woman is wanting to, bring in her man and like has this feeling of how she wants to feel when she's in that partnership, she has to actually be so fucking clear on what she's available for. And then it's so easy when you deeply want love, right? You really want to be in a relationship, to have a man come into your space and be like, but he's here and like he might not be but that's okay. I'll just take it because it's like I really want to be in a relationship. It's like, no, the path to that man is actually being able to say, that's not it. I'm not available for that. And that takes such courage. And I think it's the same in business. If you want a certain amount of income or success to come in, it's also about being like, I want it really bad. I can feel how deeply I want that, but this isn't it. This way isn't it, which can be really fucking scary. And it takes a lot of trust. It takes a lot of trust in life, in the mystery, in ourselves. But I think anytime we say yes to something that deep down we're not available for, so anytime like in dating, it's like if you're saying yes to behavior that you're actually not wanting to be available for. So maybe it's for a woman, a man that's like not replying to her messages or is really hot and cold. And deep down she knows, I don't want that in my future partner, but she continues to entertain it. It's like, well, you're basically saying to life, yes, give me more of this. I'm okay with this. And it's the same in business. If it's like you're entertaining or continuing to say yes to clients that are just not what you deeply want to be, like maybe clients that come in and want to be fixed and kind of outsource. It's like, fix me, build my business, make me better. And I'm sure you've had clients like that. Yes. And it's like the difference between trying to hold space or coach someone like that, where someone coming into your field where it's like, they're just like rooted and they're not trying to give away their power to you, but they're coming in to be expanded by you and to be mentored and for you to see their blind spots. But it's not that energetic of fix me. You better, I'm giving you money. You better fix me. You better make my life right. And so if we desire those like deep clients, or those like clients in their power, we've got to be able to check it when we can feel that I fix you energy and say no to it and be unavailable for it. Even if that deep client isn't there right now to fill that gap with the money that we want that month. Yeah.
How do we journey that when, you know, we have goals and especially revenue goals, and, you know, people want to pay us money, and we can, you know, often it's just like very subtle things that you also acutely aware of that, you know, play out with it, where it's just like, oh, that's just, you know, that there's a little bit of needy energy in this. How do we journey saying no to that?
I think it's through the contrast of saying yes to it. Again, if it's like in dating, I'll use the example, it's like the hot, cold man, there will come a point where you get fucked over by that man and then you realize, oh, okay, well that hurt and that's painful. And even though I was holding out for him to suddenly magically communicate really beautifully, that was never going to happen. And it's the same. I've learned to only be available for a certain level of client or a certain woman because I've said yes to experiences or clients where it wasn't quite a yes, and then they've wanted a refund 5 months into a 6-month container, and then they're suddenly like, I want all my money back. And it's like, no, that's not how this works, right? And I've had those experiences where I go, okay, well, I don't want that experience again. Okay, I've got to be really clear on what I'm available for. So I think we learn through the contrast. We learn through, not wanting to repeat those experiences again. Would you agree?
Yep. How do we balance that with wanting to scale our business then?
Yeah, I feel like I'm at a stage of business, and it depends, because there's, you know, if the way that my business works too, there's different levels of access to me. So I'm not filtering through someone that's buying a evergreen course, right? But if someone's like, I'm about to run like an immersive style mastermind, and then it's coming up in a month, like it's only got available for 10 women. So I'm very, very aware of who I'm allowing into that field and who I'm allowing into that space. So my filters are really high, and my questions and, you know, my attunement to what I'm available for is very high in that. But in spaces where, you know, that someone might not get deeper access to me, you know, that's where someone like that, you know, that can taste that work and be in that work. So I think that's how we attune. We get really clear on like, okay, if someone, wants to be really close in my world, who do I want really close in my world? I also know that there's some people that might not even, I'm sure everyone listening to this cares about how they feel in business and how they feel, like care about the type of client that's here and the experience they're having with them. So, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's one of the things that I see play out for people, especially if they've already hit, you know, multi-6 figures or 7 figures, is, you know, they build a business, but then they become so focused on, you know, scaling and growing their business that what happens is they start to outsource the sales process. They get a sales team, they get all of these things, but then that decreases the level of qualification when people come in, and then it grows and grows and grows and grows. And then we get a system that perpetuates this by creating people that aren't a perfect fit coming in, because it's not the person, you know, that's doing the sales process. And eventually what happens is, it happens a lot with, you know, 7-figure business owners. They get to 7 figures and they recognize, fuck, what have I created? And they either just instantaneously burn it down and go, all right, I'm done. Or they make a slight shift, because normally what happens is they build this sustainable, scalable business. It's all groups, high ticket, all of these things. The first thing that they start to do is just go back to one-on-one. It's like, I just need to be able to, step back from all of this. I'm either going to burn it all down and only work with people one-on-one because they're bored or burnt out in their business. And, the piece is just like, where are you putting your access, where you're putting your proximity to you, and where are you actually cultivating that, even though you can have all of the scalable offers, that's a pillar of the business. But if that becomes the primary thing, then it's probably just going to drain your soul, because those people aren't going to be as filtered as the proximity access people that are going to get the close attention from you. And, what most people do is they just... It's the massive swings of the pendulum. It's just like, we've gone all this way over here. I've scaled my business. We're making $250,000 a month. It's amazing. Looks great. Feel shit. And, I think that's one of the things that I like to speak about the most is like, well, how do we build a business that looks great and feels great rather than just, looks great on social media but feels shit behind the scenes, because you're dealing with refund requests. You're dealing with all of these people that are more needy, that aren't necessarily the perfect fit.
Oh my gosh, I've seen that too in previous clients, where they would have certain sales processes where it's quick sale, maybe like urgency. And it's like what I would see is more like manipulative tactics. And then they're dealing with so many refund requests and like women going, like suddenly I realize I can't pay for that, or my husband isn't happy that I've paid for that. And actually I've overextended myself. And I think I've always been very clear over the last few years that I never, ever, especially in a sales process, I always want someone to feel like they've chosen in, and to walk away, whether it's from an event or, anything in where I've sold, where like they've chosen that completely. Because I think when someone else feels like they've been manipulated or they've walked away and gone, I didn't fully fucking choose that. Then they're entering into that container from that place, and which is not a place of power, right? So like how someone comes into your work really determines how the experience unfolds as well. Yeah.
In the book, The Challenger Sale, they say that, I can't remember the exact number, but it's like 62% of customer loyalty comes from the buying process. Yes. So it's not even brand. It's not any of the other things. It's not even getting results. It's
I love that.
How they actually enter your world is going to determine how they're going to actually go through it. If you have to yell at someone to get an action, to get them to buy, then you probably got to yell at them to get results.
Right.
And most marketers are masters of yelling. That's all they do. They're just like yelling. You need to do this faster, do more, fire these people. It's just like, well, that's probably not going to feel good long term. You might get some fast results, but then what happens? It's like,
and that person we were talking about before, like the client of like that wants to be fixed, that's probably someone that needs to be told, you need this and quickly, like versus the man or woman that's like rooted in themselves. Like they want to, they're sovereign and they want to feel sovereign as they're choosing something. They cannot be manipulated. Yeah. And I'm just knowing in the way that I consume as well, if I ever feel like that manipulative, like, you need this like kind of energy, I find it repelling or repulsive. Yeah. And I want to feel, that sovereignty. And that's how I then, am in a coaching experience or a mastermind or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the words that I use as well. I was like on a sales call yesterday and she's like, should I do this? And I was like, if you want. Like, I know I'm meant to be more salesy in this, but, I want you to be sovereign and autonomous in all your choices.
Yes.
So that you can actually step out of it, especially the thing that you said that you want to break through in, of all of the trauma that you're telling me about right now. It's like that becomes even more important in this, for you to be able to invest from a place of choosing you rather than just going, I've got to get out of this. I've got to do whatever it takes to be able to, get away from that. It's like, well, no, if we can get to the energy of choosing, then that's going to create an entirely different energetic dynamic in the container that you're coming into. And, most people, the most common feedback that we get from our events is like, it's so refreshing to not be, dominated and punished into needing to buy. And, when we have the capability, there's so many spaces where people will justify hardcore selling people because they have the view that if they don't join, then they'll be worse off. And, you know, I don't have that view. I believe that people are going to get the lessons that they need to get. And, you know, being sovereign and autonomous is going to create a greater shift than them coming in from a needy, have to, must place.
Yes. And that piece I said before around I've learned to like trust my people and trust the people in my world, that's also shifted the way that I sell. And not saying that I don't, like I really believe in like getting behind what you're selling. And I'm a very animated, expressive person. So when I am selling something like, you know, when I run an event or, you know, in a live masterclass or on social media, I'm like in it and I'm holding the vision for that woman and casting that and being like, you know, this is what's possible when you join this and all of these things. But I'm also holding that field of, and I trust you and I trust that you will know, especially also because my work is around bringing a woman home back into her body, like helping her descend into her body and trust herself and move from that place. If I was to be like, you need this and I know better than you, then she comes into my work and I'm like, oh no, you need to trust yourself. It's like, that's completely, you know, at a paradox to how I invited you into the space. So yeah.
One of the things that most people don't recognize is whatever the person wants a breakthrough in, they can get that in the buying process.
Yes.
It's like if someone has a commitment issue, it's like when they commit and they choose to commit, then they actually get the breakthrough for it. But what most people do is they just make sure that they get the sale rather than actually getting the transformation in the sales process. They're too focused on the external number that they're actually going to get from and how they're going to feel and look by getting that sale rather than actually creating the space in the clearing for that person to get their breakthrough just by committing.
That. I love that so much. And that's how you like, it's almost like the facilitation and the transformation starts at that exact point. Before that, but at that exact point, it can really deepen.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with that.
Yeah, here for it. What's the thing that you're facing off with in terms of that's bringing more courage out of you right now?
Oh, I feel like I've had a wild 3 weeks just in like motherhood and like home life. Yeah. Jacob has been facilitating a lot and away and you know, having a 9-month-old baby, 2 businesses where we're both just like so passionate and on mission and managing time. Like before we had a baby, and I'm sure you resonate with this, you can just go do what you want. You don't have to run everything by your partner like every moment of your day where it's like, oh, now if I want to work, someone else has to be with my baby, whether that be Jacob or my mom or like someone else. So just the level of communication that's requiring and also holding the tension in my body when I have an idea or a post I want to post or something I want to say, but then I'm with my son and that's not available. And so learning how to, be in that, like hold, I did a podcast with the beautiful Kat River, who's a mother and teaches business and motherhood. And she was really speaking into that, like learning how to hold that tension in your body as a mother and as a father, no doubt as well, when you can't just like drop everything and go to your laptop and do the thing or go live. It's like, oh, I'm in my fatherhood or motherhood right now. I'm devoted to my family right now. And just as Jacob's been facilitating a lot and we were sick for a week and there's just been a lot of life stuff that's made actually being in the everyday like productivity of my business the last 3 weeks really challenging. And so just being with that tension and also really seeing the story still in me that equates success and scaling to like how productive I am. And that's been really beautiful to see. And I'm like, oh, how can we play with this? Like, how can I have fun with this and play with this now that I'm a mother as well? And get off on like, okay, how little work can I do and how much can my business grow? Like how efficient can I be and how deep of an impact can I have? And so that's been really fun to play with. But just the juggle, the juggle.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was like, when I was driving and I was like tuning into, I was like, definitely think that's going to be a dynamic, like, because it's the same in our relationship. You know, we're both high achievers. We both like to run events and do all of these things and, you know, juggling kids and all of those things. It's that, you know, ongoing edge of just like, okay, cool. We've got to become so much more intentional in our time in business. As you said, like when you don't have kids, you know, You can just go straight where the aliveness is. It's just like, all right, cool. Let's just do the live. Let's do the thing. Let's launch something. But now it's just like today is, our podcast day because Max goes to Bush Kindy. So it's the time where we get it's our big productivity day.
Yeah.
But then, the rest of the week, it's like literally, all right, Jackie's doing this, looking after both the kids. And then I'm over here in business. And then it's like, okay, cool. So she's got a speaking gig on this day. So that means I'm going to have both of the kids. And just juggling those things, it becomes this unending, I guess, just like flexibility and intentionality.
Yes. And something that Jacob and I, and you would be the same with you and Jackie, it's like there's two missions. And even though your missions cross over, there is two missions. And how sometimes there's times where we have to be devoted to our partner's mission just as much as we are our own.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I think that it's a breeding ground for resentment.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like, but my mission, you've had 10 hours this week and I've only had 5. And I think you asked where am I invited to be courageous? I think that's been, and courage comes from the word heart, right? So it's I really feel my practice lately has been when the part of me is wanting to keep things equal or be but you went on a 5-day retreat and I have only been able to work in nap times and you only slept for 20 minutes. The part of me that's also oh, but this is in service to our family and can I open through this? Can I open and find the part of me that can be so deeply devoted to my husband's mission and can find how much that nourishes me? Because it does. When I really move past the part of me that wants to keep things fair, and then I can find the part of me that's oh, this is really beautiful to be the woman that, frees my husband to go and do the thing and not be holding him or thinking that, oh, but you're going to pay for it when you get back, right? That he's it's such a gift to give that to him. And then when he gives that to me, even today, this is a work day for me. And I was doing some audios this morning. Now I'm here. And then this afternoon I have a call and Jacob's with Oshi. I'm still feeding. So I'm still with him at times. But that feels like such a gift when he offers that to me. And yeah, there's such a devotion required when there's a family partnership and multiple businesses. I think devotion is the only way to avoid then there being deep resentment.
Yeah. And that's, often the foundation for relationships falling apart because it's just the dynamic of, I call it the dynamic of becoming a counter. You count what you've got or what you've given, and then you start to just keep score and everything in the relationship. And most people don't recognize of how that plays out is, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a bias that basically says that you can only see 60% of what someone does. So that means that whatever they're doing, they're probably doing 40% more that you're just not seeing and not recognizing. So, you
beautiful.
you can only discount them. That's the thing that plays out. It's you can only create resentment because you don't actually see what they've done to be able to create the thing that they're creating, whether that's in parenting or that's around the house or each of these things. It's very, very obvious if the one of the parents has been home all day, in terms of, the parent that's been home all day has been doing all of these different things and they might have only gotten 5 minutes. The worst days for me are always when Max doesn't nap. Doesn't happen all of the time, but sometimes he doesn't nap and it is the worst thing ever because it's that tiny little time that I was going to have, that tiny little time. And normally, because I still take him for a drive, to get him to sleep. It's the only way we can do it. Take him for a drive, get him to sleep. And then I get him halfway up the stairs at home and then he's just and then there's no coming back, not back in the car. And I'm just no. And the one thing I've been reflecting on with it is just you want to develop nervous system resilience, have fucking kids.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's you start to learn it, in events and things like that, facilitating all that stuff. But when you have kids, it's just whenever you perceive that you're going to have your break, it's your timeline is way off. Your timeline is way off. The universe is going to serve up an entirely different timeline for you, and it's going to allow you to be able to, connect in with yourself deeper based on what's there rather than based on what you wanted to be there. And it's that unending argument that kind of plays out of, you know, recognizing, okay, cool, what is here rather than what is the expectation that I created of my partner or of my ability to be able to work where I get all of my, you know, juicy identity fixes in my work. That's me.
I feel you.
And that's like part of the overachiever part, right? It's like I was reflecting on it recently. It's like, you know, what you get most valued for, most paid for in your work just doesn't work in your relationship. It's like you try and coach your partner. It's like, that's not going to work. You try and coach your child. It's not going to work. So you're valued and you're paid for it over here. And then over here, it's just like, oh, that's the last thing that I want. And that like, for me is just that dance of like recognizing, you know, all of my identity around all of my success over here is great, but it's also me hiding. It's me hiding behind what I can actually start to create in terms of, you know, being with life.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah. And I feel like there was such resonance, like almost like 360 back to what we were sharing earlier around when we're talking about the income dips and how do you be with that? It's like, what's the truth of the moment? Jacob and I always love asking that question in all of life, especially in partnership. It's like, you know, sometimes it's like, I love using the example of sex. Like sometimes we go to like, you know, having sex and then maybe the truth of the moment is like, oh, I'm feeling contracted suddenly and I don't want to be having sex anymore. Or we think it should just be pleasurable, but then there's a conversation that I suddenly feel like I want to have because there's something that I didn't know I was holding and it just becomes apparent when we're having sex. And so instead of like trying to push through and be, no, we're having sex and we both need orgasms, that's where we're going. It's like the truth of the moment is there's a contraction here and let's honor that. Yeah. And that can happen all throughout life. And I think in parenting, it's like the nap thing. Oh, I thought I was going to have an hour to do whatever I wanted or to dive deep and write this email. And like the truth of the moment is my son is awake. Oh, okay. Well, the quicker I just honor the truth of the moment and let go or, you know, dissolve those expectations that I had or grieve the expectations that I have, the freer I'm going to feel. And, you know, business is so much like that when we are attached to like what we thought was going to happen. I think this happens so much in launches or anytime we're in, you know, a selling kind of period when we're like attached to, but this should have happened, right? And it's like, what's the truth of the moment? And when we're honoring the truth of the moment, then we're able to move from power. We're able to move from like, okay, well, what is this inviting me into? Who do I have to be right now? Yeah.
You've spoken a lot about power. Why is power so important for us?
Oh, I love that question. For me, especially as a woman, and I teach women and I facilitate women, for me, I feel when I speak about power as a woman, it's really being in the body. And I feel like as women, we're conditioned, and all humans, but women, we're really conditioned to operate from the shoulders up and to really not only disconnect, but disassociate from so much of our body, so much of our sexuality, our eros, our instincts, our intuition, like all of these parts of us. It's how we're conditioned as women to be safe in the world. This isn't a safe place to be, the body. And, you know, that's been not just us, but our mothers, our grandmothers, many of the women that came before us. So when I speak about a woman operating from her power, it's really a woman that has taken that descent down from her head, not even into her heart, but like down into her pussy, down into like the root of her, and reclaimed the parts of her as woman that she was told and her ancestors were told were wrong. So, you know, her instincts, her intuition, you know, her sexuality, all of her aliveness, her wildness, her feralness, like all of these things. And I truly believe it's only when a woman reclaims all of these parts of her that she can truly move with power, because so much of her energy is no longer taken up by like trying not to be too much, trying not to be this, trying to push down so much of herself. And so, yeah, for me, power is like embodiment. For me, power is like inhabiting the body and moving from that place. And so power for me equals aliveness. And really, I'm here not just for women to feel power for the sake of feeling power, but to feel power because that's where liberation lives. That's where aliveness lives. And that's where a woman in her power, a woman in her body is then that ripples out into the way she births, the way she mothers. It's just not a thing in business. It's the way she truly like moves through her entire existence. So that's why power is important to me.
Love it. I think that's the perfect thing to wrap up on.
I love that.
All about the power.
Yes.
What's the best way for people to be able to get in contact with you?
Instagram is the place I show up in the most. So I'm at the.meg.o. And yeah, I got a bunch of freebies there. Depending on when this comes out, two of the main ways to work with me, I run a year-long experience called Full Spectrum Woman, which is really for the woman that's ready to be liberated in all areas of her life. We dive deep into relationships and business and just living liberated. And then I'm just about to run a 6-month mastermind in-person immersion, which starts end of July, called Embodied Feminine Leadership. And there's a few spaces left for that. So that's where to find me.
Great.
And Sex, Love and Everything in Between, my podcast with Jacob. Yeah.
Love it. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. That was so much fun.
Likewise.